Welcome to another episode of the Whole Truth Podcast. I am your co-host, Charles Morris, third vice chair of the Greenville County Democratic Party.
And I am first vice chair, Steve Ramirez, Greenville County Democratic Party, usually behind the camera, but today making an exception.
And we appreciate Steve filling in for our lovely Madam Chair, Stacey Mars, who is a little bit under the weather. We hope she gets to feeling better, but appreciate Steve stepping in. We have a couple of things we want to talk about today, some hot topics, national, statewide, local, things that people want to hear about. I'm going to just lead it off real quick. This is one that I know hits home for a lot of people, and certainly me personally, because I've had to use this in the past, and that is the expiration of the Affordable Care Act premium subsidies.
I just signed up today.
Really?
Oh,
retirement life.
It hurt.
Yeah, well, and it's going to hurt a whole lot worse for some people. Honestly, it's mind-boggling. It's not surprising that Republicans would play games with people's health and, their financial well-being, but allowing these subsidies to expire could cause premiums to double for some people. I mean, I've seen people where their expected premiums will triple, which is insane.
Mine went up 642%.
Wow, 642%?
Yep, doing an apples to apples using the exact same plan as we had last year, roll it over to this year, both my wife and myself, the numbers would have gone up 642%.
Wow, that is unbelievable.
Yep.
And for anybody who may not know what the Affordable Care Act is exactly, you hear it ACA or Obamacare, which is where the joke comes from, where you stand on the street and ask people, "Are you in favor of Obamacare?" And
oh, heck no.
What about the Affordable Care Act? And they
go,
yeah,
that's nice.
I like how that sounds. It's a health exchange that was set up back in 2009 when the law passed. It's essentially an online marketplace where private insurers can provide insurance plans to people who are not eligible through employers for whatever reason that may be.
One of the key things that they set up, though, was mandatory requirements for the packages, the plans that are sold. You got to cover pregnancy. You can't exclude people for anything that they already
pre-existing
have.
Conditions.
Pre-existing conditions.
Got rid of that.
Yeah.
That's why preventive care has been free for the past 15 years, so or 16 years, fully covered by insurance. That's part of the law. But the biggest part of it was that the federal government will subsidize these premiums based on your income as an upfront tax credit. So you don't have to wait to file your tax return to get the money back. It's actually provided upfront every month, deducted from the cost of the premium. So allowing those subsidies to expire means that you're now paying essentially the full cost of the plan, which is devastating for people. And you can now personally attest to that.
Oh, yeah. And actually the PTC, the Premium Tax Credit going away at this point is actually post-COVID. So they had to jack them up in the COVID timeframe, primarily because of all the other things that were going on with the economy at the time. And I suspect, I have a very good inkling that the Republicans are glad to see this flounder, anything to do with the ACA or Obama,
well, they've been trying to starve it
to let
years.
it self-destruct.
Yes.
Because all of the incremental changes that they have been doing through time have been making the risk pool smaller and smaller and smaller. And the way insurance works, the more people you have in the risk pool, the lower the costs are. So they take out this requirement, they take out that requirement, and people exit, they leave, they disappear, and suddenly the prices go through the roof. We're shocked. Oh, I'm amazed.
Exactly.
And so we end up with incredibly high prices. Well, okay, in the COVID timeframe, then they said, Biden era, they said, okay, well, let's help people out and keep them insured and keep them healthy because this really does matter. Now, with the current administration, they're glad to say, let it crumble, despite what it will do to people's health.
Which is, as you've said, has been part of the Republican game plan since the day this law passed. It has been, what can we do to starve the ACA? What can we do to defund it? They tried to outright kill it. John McCain saved it in that famous floor vote. Rest in peace. Yeah, exactly.
63 times? Yeah, 60.
Gladiator.
Yeah.
But this is honestly, it's kind of crazy, not to get on my soapbox too much. This is a conservative strategy all over the world. You see this in Britain with the Tories. They've been trying to starve the National Health Service for years. Conservatives love starving a government program so they can go, see, doesn't work. This is why you have to privatize it.
Yeah.
And then also it's funny, their rationale is fiscal restraint. But it's like, well, okay, if that's the case, then maybe don't cut tax revenues by giving all your billionaire friends gigantic tax cuts, and then we don't have to cut tax credits that help people who make like $40,000 a year, $30,000 a year, or people who are retired.
Yeah, it still astounds me that the UK has anything against this, considering what they were like before the war and then after the war when NHS was instituted, the National Healthcare System. It's hard to believe that anybody would argue against it, but they do for that same conservative fiscal spending reason. I don't get it.
And what I will say is, from a party perspective, I hope that our party, and I can't say that I think they will, because they caved on the shutdown for probably the worst deal in the history of mankind. A promise of a vote, which is like, what does that even mean?
Trust me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you promise that we'll allow a vote where we're going to vote it down. That's a great deal. But I hope they hold the line. This is not optional. This has to be a deal breaker. We're talking about people's livelihoods. People are going to have to make the choice between health care and putting food on the table. And that is honestly, that's an evil choice to force people to make. Let me get off my soapbox now.
If you listen to the Republicans and Trump V1, I will have a replacement for Obamacare on day one. Okay, 2 weeks from now. Okay, 2 months from now. Okay, well, 4 years go by, nada.
No, and then you got
Trump V2. Yeah.
You got Legally Blonde press secretary keeps saying that they're spending time to come up with clever solutions, and y'all have been working on this since
give you back Trump dollars. Here you go.
Since
we'll give
the
you
very
peanuts.
beginning of this thing being passed, you've been screaming about how it needs to be replaced with something better, but you've never brought anything to the table.
Yeah.
Which is insane. And let's remind everybody where the example came from, which was what was called Romney Care in Massachusetts, which was proposed by and signed into law by Republican Governor Mitt Romney. They don't like to talk about that one. So that, honestly, I think is the highest stake national issue right now, outside of possibly the president trying to get us into a war in Venezuela because now we're seizing oil tankers that supposedly are part of an Iranian shadow fleet, but whatever.
Yeah, and the whole Obamacare, it may not be perfect. It certainly has been hobbled, with 2 or 3 of the legs taken out from underneath that stool.
Yep. That's a good way
So
to
it needs to be improved. It needs to be nationalized healthcare in some form, like national health, NHS in the UK, like a lot of the rest of the world does at
the
this
developed
point.
world,
The other
country in the developed world, pretty much.
Yeah, you've got over a decade ago, I think, healthcare was 1/6 of the GDP in the U.S.
Yeah. That's the number still kind of
higher.
commonly thrown around. It might be a fifth now.
Yeah, it's actually
absurd.
Probably higher. In signing up for healthcare this time around, I was actually looking at going without ACA or without insurance whatsoever.
Wow.
And then I started looking into, okay, well, what if I look into private healthcare instead? And looking into that, my eyes were opened into, oh my gosh, this is what privatized healthcare looks like.
What kind of numbers
it's some
did you see?
scary
what kind
stuff.
Of options did you see?
Most of them were actually not even as good as the low tier, the bronze level of ACA. A couple of them might work, but I'm sure the fine print will get you if anything goes wrong.
Right.
With all the claims that United Healthcare deny, and sorry, you didn't pre-certify, so we're not going to cover that whatsoever. Things like that. The system is broken, but there are so many people making money off of your health care.
That is correct.
That is the problem.
Your lack of health care.
Yeah.
And one thing to know about Steve's a retired engineer. He's an incredibly intelligent person who will never make a decision on anything if he doesn't know every single detail and aspect of it.
And at least 2 spreadsheets.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not 3 or 4.
Well, 3 tabs each.
But he is an incredibly detailed man. So you can trust what he's saying on this. And the last thing I'll say about Obamacare is it goes back to the genesis of the law, and what hobbled it from the very beginning, like you said, one of those legs was killing the public option. Mm-hmm. When it was first, what President Obama campaigned on was a form of this law that would not just have private health insurers as part of the marketplace, but then there would be a public option provided by the federal government that those private insurers would have to compete with. Joe Lieberman, rest his soul, from Connecticut, made sure to kill that one with, I'm sure, hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations from the insurance lobby. So that's always been a sticking point for me, is if we had had the public option from the beginning, we wouldn't have these issues. It would be too popular. Mm-hmm. It would be political suicide to touch the ACA. But again, like you said, one of those legs was taken from the very beginning.
Yep.
The next thing, and this is one, it's December now. It's kind of a quiet time, right? It's the holidays. People are worried about family. They're worried about traveling. They're not worried about politics as much. But it's going to heat up real fast starting in January, publicly at least. Behind the scenes, it's a mad dash. But that is the gubernatorial race here in South Carolina.
Yay.
What? Let me ask you, how do you feel about our 2 announced candidates, Democratic candidates?
We have good options.
Okay.
So I'm glad it's plural, but I definitely think we've got some very good options. I know that they are out there on the trail already, making headway and getting themselves visibility out into the full state. So I'm quite tickled to see that.
So for anybody who doesn't know, we have Jermaine Johnson, who is a representative from the 52nd District, which I apologize if you can hear me typing. I couldn't remember which district his was, but that's in the Columbia area. And then we have Mullins McLeod, who is a private lawyer from the Charleston area, both who have been to Greenville in recent months and spoken at our events, both Democrats. Now, Mullins McLeod, you can actually look him up. He's got a pretty detailed platform on his website. So if you're interested, I would take a look at that. He has a lot of topics on there, more than I would say Jermaine has. But Jermaine has spoken a lot about youth engagement, reducing crime, poverty, education spending, which goes hand in hand, I think, with Sylvia Wright's campaign for a superintendent. So I agree with you. I think we do have several good options now.
Goes hand in hand with his story, too.
Correct.
It's right up his alley, so he knows what he's talking about with that. So,
yeah, no, he does have an incredible story. And if you haven't, you should look him up. You should look up his background. He was born in Los Angeles, experienced a very, very troubled upbringing, crime, lost some brothers, was able to get a basketball scholarship to the College of Charleston, played overseas professionally, and then came back home and ran for office, and has become extremely popular in the last year on the floor of the House of Representatives, where Democrats are in a super minority, and it's very difficult to get anything done. But Jermaine Johnson has made himself known as a fighter, which is something that I appreciate about him.
Including one good viral moment with the anti-DEI bills that were headed through the state legislature. Stood up and called people out to their face and said, "Really, you want to talk, nice to me to my face, but then you go vote on this? I don't get it."
That was a very powerful speech. And again, I know I'm saying this. I promise I'm not endorsing. I'm just talking about these guys. But you should look up that speech. If you just search Jermaine Johnson floor speech, I promise it'll come up. But like Steve said, he called other legislators out. He said, you guys take trips with us. You break bread with us. You act like we're friends to our face, talk about how great we are. And then we come in here and you vote against my interests as a black man. And he called them racist, and he called them out. And honestly, I think that speech went a long way towards getting that bill tabled. Now, that's going to come up again.
No.
You don't think it'll come up again? No way, right?
Just heard the one about the chemtrails today. Just floored me.
Wait, what?
Oh, it's one of the guys from Pickens
my goodness.
is putting a bill forward to try and get rid of, or to try and legislate away chemtrails. That's presuming that they exist, but
I'm not even sure I know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
That's got some big Marjorie Taylor Greene
conspiracy
energy to it.
theory run amok. But these people are actually in the legislature and voted into office. So.
Wow. Okay. That's insane.
Yes.
That we're doing the chemtrails thing in the South Carolina legislature.
Going to take care of it. How they're going to police it, I'm really curious.
Yeah, these are serious people, folks, because the South Carolina legislature definitely has jurisdiction over airspace 30,000 feet above the ground, because that makes total sense. Wow. Okay. That's insane, but, do you expect less from rural South Carolina in the upstate? I'm sorry, that might be mean. That leads into what I think is another local topic, considering the South Carolina legislature. That is a national hot-button issue, which I said the subsidies might be the biggest national issue right now. Actually, this is probably the biggest national issue. That is redistricting. Everywhere you are seeing this. Obviously, Texas started this fight, right? They wanted to get 5 more seats. And then Gavin Newsom, governor of California, said, not so fast. We can do that too. And then it's spreading everywhere. And in fact, the Indiana Senate, GOP, across the aisle, they rejected. I don't know if you saw that. They came up with a new map to get rid of, they have 9 seats in Indiana, 2 are Democrats. They came up with a new map to try to get rid of those 2. And it was passed by the Indiana House, and the Indiana Senate rejected it. 19 Indiana GOP senators crossed the aisle to vote with 10 Democrats to vote it down, which I thought was pretty good. That was a direct rejection of President Donald Trump.
Yeah, they also realized the risk to the Republicans. You chop up Republican strong districts far enough, then you start to put them at risk. And with what we have seen with the off-year elections, that really may put them quite at risk. With what happened in Tennessee, even though he won, but with the strong swing back toward the left, there is a good possibility that they may cut off their nose, bite their face, etc.
That's a good point, which is almost like, do you just let them do it? Because there's only so many voters, right? You can only do so much packing. That's why you have these Democratic districts in strong Republican states, because they're packing all of the Democrats in. We see this in South Carolina. This is why we have 1 Democratic representative. And if you look at his district, it's a weird line from Columbia to Charleston with some stuff in between, right?
Right.
They're packing black voters into this district. Now, part of that is the Voting Rights Act, and, you have to, you can't dilute the black vote too much, which I get. But that's what that is. So what they were now doing is we're going to break those up even further. But as Steve said, you're now introducing Democrats into other areas, which, with the way the winds are blowing, presidents always get killed in the midterms.
Yep.
And we've seen what's happened in special elections across the country. Republicans are getting annihilated. And then, like you said, the GOP won the one in Tennessee, but that was a double-digit swing. This was a serious risk. So, no, you're right. Indiana senators, maybe they did realize, whoa, wait a minute, this actually may not be good for us.
You mentioned this started with Texas. It actually starts long before that. Yeah. Even in South Carolina, it was happening here, and there were lawsuits amok. Went up to the Supreme Court. The argument being that yes, we can redistrict if we choose, and what the Supreme Court came back with is, your argument is that you want to do this redistricting for political reasons.
Right.
As long as you state it, ostensibly as political, and you don't say race, then if you're doing it politically, that, okay, let's put all these black people over here and we'll put the white, or chop it up, or, as long as you state it as being political, no problem.
But we'll just ignore the reality, which is that black voters generally vote for Democrats between 85 and 95% in terms of the population. So,
fortunately, that trend does to be swinging back toward the left now.
Thankfully.
The current numbers, what is the people that swung for Trump this last round are swinging back.
Well, again, I don't want to pull my soapbox out again, but just, you look around, it's like the meme where it's the dog and everything's on fire and this is fine. Well, things are burning down now at an astounding rate. But that does, so last Friday, I know you and Len weren't able to be there, but last Friday, the Legislative Black Caucus did a town hall in Greenville, hosted by Senator Carl Allen, which is the one Democratic senator that we have here in Greenville County. And this came up. And Representative Wendell Jones said he absolutely expects redistricting to be one of the first items on the agenda heading into the new legislative session next month.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have one seat.
Ralph Norman.
You can clearly, as you said, Republicans are scared with the way the winds are blowing, and they are scratching and clawing to get every seat they can because the majority in the House is as slim as it's ever been. And, 200 and however many years, 50 to 280 years of democracy here in the United States, it's an incredibly slim margin.
Yeah. And like you said, the midterms, generally, the president's party gets clobbered. Yeah. As at least the trend as of lately. So they're preventing or trying to prevent that inevitable collapse again and put him at risk for being impeached. And then the Senate just goes, no, we're not going to impeach him. But to have to go through that and have his last 2 years be just dreadfully painful.
Yes. And the single biggest reason for that is, I don't think a lot of people realize this, but just civics related. The lower chamber of the United States Congress is the House of Representatives. And the House of Representatives is the most powerful chamber. Most people think it's the United States Senate. Individually, they may be more powerful. But as a body, it's the House. And that's because the House controls the purse. The power of the purse resides in the House. Spending bills have to originate in the House. Obviously, there's process reconciliation, blah, blah, the Senate. We don't have to get into all that. But the money is controlled. The budget is controlled by the House. And with the things that you see happening, like ICE budgets run amok, the defense budget out of control with things that are happening in Venezuela, for instance.
Shock.
Not being in control of the purse would be a serious detriment to the president's agenda. And, like you said, they might just be tied up in investigations for the next 2 years afterwards.
Have that ICE budget disappear. Oh, my.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Yeah, their budget is larger than most nations' defense budget. An internal army, an internal Gestapo run amok.
Brown shirts turned into the SS. Oh, my.
Yeah. So, that's one to pay attention to. The legislative session starts in January. I believe it runs until May. January to May, something like that.
Correct.
But, DEI, like you mentioned, redistricting, whatever other BS they can come up with to screw over everyday South Carolinians, that will all be on the table. We got to pay attention. We got to make our voices heard. We did it with the DEI bill, the abortion bill. That was
Advocacy. Advocacy does make a difference. I had my doubts before I got involved in this whole realm of politics. Still makes me cringe thinking that I'm in this at all, but my eyes were opened and they are not closing.
Vice Chair.
Yeah, not closing again. But advocacy, I never thought it would make a difference, but it really does. You get out there and you hound your representatives and you let them know what you think, and there are some degrees of pushback that actually happen.
Correct. Especially locally, right?
Down at the lower level. Oh, absolutely.
County council, we've seen it. We have both been involved in things at both of those levels. Yeah. And then state legislators as well.
Yep.
Advocacy still works.
You can see those switches happening when they take the vote. They disappear behind the door. They come back. They're like, oh, okay, we're going to change gears. We didn't really realize.
That's correct. Now, when they get to the U.S. Congress, they stop giving a damn. William Timmons. Anyway,
some of them.
We got to keep paying attention, and we got to keep being loud. Well, you have a particular topic you wanted to talk about. Hyperlocal.
A new segment I'm proposing.
Okay.
So,
I like this.
This podcast we titled The Whole Truth.
Okay.
And it was partially out of the back of my head because when I listened to right-wing extremist radio or conservative radio, my apologies, that's what it's called, conservative radio.
It's not Nazi radio?
See, I didn't see it. I saw Nazi. No. So when I listened to that, I listened very critically to understand what is being said, what is not being said. And they actually do tell the truth on conservative radio. which is kind of painful to say, but no, you have to give that to them. They do tell the truth.
You're losing me, Steve.
But not the whole truth, which is why this podcast is called
The
The Whole Truth. No, they tell the truth, just a tiny, tiny little sliver between here and here.
Lies of omission.
And what goes with it, you wrap around it different fallacies, logical leaps to conclusions, just all sorts of misinformation, misdirection, all sorts of different problems. So this is going to be called That's Not the Whole Truth.
Okay, I like that.
I have a recording of, let's see, it was December 9, just one of the conservative jocks, and one segment, between two commercials that he spouted.
Okay.
And analyze it and see what is there that's truth and what is not quite the full truth.
And just full disclosure, Steve sent this last week to Stacy and I have actually not had a chance to listen to it.
Okay.
So
you'll hear it cold.
Me, but honestly, it might be better this way. This is my first listen.
All right. So we'll test the level here, make sure we're sitting correct.
I kind of think that Trump's making a lot of his bones on immigration, and he's successfully making those bones. And, there's a lot of uproar on this. The Democrats have come out, and what they want to do is they want you to believe that the narco-terrorists are just a few guys trying to make a living. This is the only job they can find, is being a narco-terrorist.
So this is the type of stuff. This is the type of stuff that he states and gets away with because there are no repercussions and First Amendment right. I mean, it is a right to say whatever BS you want. So he has that right.
That's a hell of an opener.
Oh, yeah.
We just, these poor guys, it's the only job they can find down on their luck is being a narco-terrorist.
Yeah.
Man, we're being mean to them. We're being mean to these cartel leaders, these narco-terrorists.
So to give him due credit, this is Bill Frady, WYRD, or they call it WORD radio. WYRD is the call letters. So that's a first example, and that type of statement is basically straw man. What's known, because they take something that's said on the left and basically strip it down to some type of little bitty argument that can be stretched out and twisted, and then it's made completely absurd. And the audience there goes, "Yeah, that's absurd. What the heck are those lefties thinking? Oh my gosh!"
But that stuff's effective.
It is.
That's what's crazy. That is effective. I mean, when you live in a bubble and you just want to be angry all the time and you want to have something to lash out against, hearing something like that's effective. Oh, the Democrats are standing up for the narco-terrorists. Meanwhile, it's like, what did you hear to even come up with that?
Yeah, you baby killers. You're pro narco-terrorists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm excited. Yeah. Let's keep going.
Let's see. So next snippet.
Arrests are being reclassified as kidnappings and disappearances, and assaults on ICE and CBP agents are being reclassified as protests.
Are they really? Is anybody actually doing that? Does the judicial system, are they reclassifying any of this? So how are arrests being reclassified? That's basically misinformation. Yeah. It's not really happening, or it's a conspiracy. You frame this, one area as a conspiracy, and you just present it as, this is fact. Is there a tiny bit of truth in there? Yeah, there are assaults on ICE. No doubt. People don't do that. You should not be doing that. That's actually hurting the cause on the left, liberals, or freedom in general.
That is correct. Even me, the resident extremist, will agree with that. Don't assault people.
Yeah.
Although the one thing I will say to that, that is effective, the first paragraph. But that next sentence where he tries to frame these arrests. So he talks about narco-terrorists, and he starts talking about arrests as if everybody they're arresting is a narco-terrorist. Yeah. Is wildly offensive because that's just not true. Are there some actual criminals being rounded up? Yeah, I mean, of course there are.
I think the number's like 3% based on
what
we've seen
already. We've been doing that for years. That's not anything that's changed. What's changed is snatching people out of their final stage of their citizenship.
Out of line.
Where they're literally about to go pledge allegiance to get their certificate. They've gone through the whole process, which is insane. They did it the right way. Why can't they just come here legally? Well, they did. You got people being snatched at court hearings because they're trying to do it legally. You got people who are claiming asylum because they come from bad places trying to do it legally. This is who is being snatched up. So I find that actually extremely offensive.
Yep. And again, that's the mantra on the radio right now, is that's the type of people that ICE is going after. And any argument against that says, well, you're trying to let those narco-terrorists, those horrible criminals go. Why do you want that? That's not what I want.
Obstructing justice is patriotic. Rapists and murderers are constituents and fathers who are the soul of the earth. Citizens and ICE is the Gestapo. Now, this is all absolute nonsense. You can oppose his immigration crackdown without lying.
Oh, my. So much to unpack just in a couple sentences.
It actually got worse.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you've got ad hominem attacks in there. You've got straw man arguments again that you stretch a tiny bit of truth, you twist it, and then you present it as, something that's completely a straw man argument that doesn't really represent what your opposition feels or believes. You've got loaded language left and right in there. Demonization, ICE is the Gestapo, which is a claim by the left, but here in this case, it's the right using that to inflame and demonize.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes further into what I was saying. First of all, this is insane. Nobody's calling rapists and murderers salt of the earth people. That is wildly untrue. It's the people I just talked about. And this Gestapo behavior is, holding young children outside essentially as hostages to make the parent come out of the house because the parent is the one being targeted by ICE. That is actual Gestapo tactics. This is not just – some people throw words around, like fascist or Gestapo, and it's a buzzword and they like to say it. Yes, that is true. Not everybody is like that. Not everybody like Steve and I just say things – just because, it's fun or we're throwing it out there. It's because we're students of history and we didn't ignore history, and this is all written down and documented, and we've seen this before, and that is the type of behavior that ICE is emulating.
Talk to historians. They will relay it to you. I've listened to podcasts. I spent most of the summer listening to a podcast about the rise of the Third Reich and how Hitler got where he is and what happened and the techniques that they use. How that playbook is being used right now, it's not a far stretch at all. There are things that are different, no doubt. That's a given. But the similarities are remarkable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, where did it start, Steve? With fascism starts with fervent nationalism, right? Mm-hmm. Which is what we're seeing, okay? Mm-hmm. An immigration crackdown on others or
them, yeah.
Them,
the vermin.
The vermin, which is just, black people, brown people, gay people, anybody who's not, white and straight and Christian, essentially. Mm-hmm. So this stuff doesn't come from nowhere. It's informed. I guess that's why I get so fired up when I hear this nonsense, why I can't listen to it.
So you don't listen? You're like my wife. You just do not listen to this stuff.
No, gosh. Anyway, well, actually, let's keep listening.
All right. So let's see.
Sure. We know that you like illegals better than you like us. We understand. You can oppose his immigration crackdown without lying, but the left's not interested in having a rational policy discussion that they know they're going to lose.
A rational policy discussion.
Okay, you know what? He backed himself into a corner with that one because I am the left. And what's this guy's name?
Bill Frady.
Bill Frady, if you see this, I will come on your show anytime, day or night, and I will have a rational policy discussion with you. I don't need a printout of the questions you're going to ask me. I don't need to be briefed. I will come there by myself, me, Charles Morris, representing myself, and I will have that discussion with you because you're full of it.
Your presumption is that he will argue in good faith.
He won't.
In good faith.
No, he'll try to. Well, I'm not going to say the guy's name. He's going to try to do. He's going to try to Fuentes me. He's still alive. I can say his name.
Yeah. So, Anyway, we got more of the same stuff. False cause, fallacies, all sorts of problems ad hominem at that. So what else we got in here?
They want to jack up the political heat so
I love
high
this
that
one.
violence is in the streets, political assassinations become common, and the military quits obeying the commander-in-chief.
And cats and dogs sleeping together. You've got false
What
cause.
politicians have been assassinated?
Oh, attempted assassinations, therefore assassinations. You're actually
Yeah, there have
asking
been
a detail.
actual assassinations. They were Democrats in Minnesota.
True.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that's the whole truth part. That's not what is being presented here. It's just a little bit of the truth. And then we wrap it around anger and rage and our cause.
Do you listen to this?
I do.
Oh, you're a better man than me, Steve.
Know thy enemy.
I mean, that's true. And you know what? Good for you. That's why we need you.
Part of what I wanted to do is understand why half of America voted for Trump in 2016. It shocked the bejeebers out of me, and I didn't understand why. And I started listening to Rush Limbaugh at that time and to understand, okay, what is it that they're hearing?
Right.
And it's this kind of stuff. It's a mantra, a lot of it, especially Sean Hannity when he was on the air and on the radio as well and podcast stuff like that. He does mantras just over and over. He lightly hits on these subjects and just repeats them and repeats them and repeats them. And when these guys go out with microphones, the liberals go out with their microphones and they talk to these people who are listening to this stuff, that's exactly what comes out of their mouth is those mantras. And you ask them to defend it, to critically discuss it, they're like,
yeah, that's when you see the brain freeze.
yeah. And they pause and they move on to the next one.
It's like my Obamacare ACA thing earlier. That's born out of this because they attack Obamacare all day on this, Fox News and conservative radio, and then anyway, this is insane.
Yeah.
Is there more?
Yeah. Oh, no, there's probably another 5-10 minutes, but I don't think we're going to get there because it's just it keeps going. But you've got with this last one, military quits obeying the commander-in-chief. You know where that came from, and yet. The logical fallacy there
tell
is
the people where it came from in case they don't know.
Well, there's actually a couple different places.
Right.
One is Mark Kelly,
Senator Mark Kelly,
just from his recent statements. That was the primary one that he suggested that, or reminded officers in the military that they need to disobey unlawful orders.
Correct.
The right basically went ape caca over that. And until they started pulling, Pete Hegseth, they found him saying exactly saying exactly the same thing back several years ago, and they've kind of had to tone down their rhetoric on that. But that's that slippery slope of this dissension against disorder and illegal orders is going to lead you down to the military disobeying the president. It's like, well, okay, how are we getting there from here? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So.
Which, by the way, Mark Kelly, this is not an uninformed position, okay? So Mark Kelly is a veteran, was a Navy pilot, a combat veteran, and a literal astronaut. We're talking about a man that served his country and is now a United States Senator. And, by the way, his wife is Gabby Giffords, former representative who was shot in the head in the Tucson shooting.
With a slingshot, was that? No, it wasn't a slingshot.
No, it was a firearm.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, because her name was on an NRA poster with a target on it. Wonder what whipped that up. Attempted political assassination. Isn't that what he was just talking about? Is that the kind of rhetoric he's talking about?
Stochastic terrorism? Do you think that would have driven something like that type of behavior? No.
Every accusation is confession, and it's all projection. That's what this is. That's what this boils down to. And when you blow up boats in the middle of the ocean that you don't even know who these people are, and you just call them drug boats, and then you see people clinging to life on wreckage and you blow them up again, that is the literal example used as a war crime. Mm-hmm. Those were illegal orders, and that's why you had a United States Admiral, 4-star, head of Southern Command, or not Southern Command, Special Operations Command, called to Congress to talk about this.
Mm-hmm. Get it on the record. Yep.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
I'm going to do one small last segment.
Which brings us to a quote from Senator Mark Warner coming off of X. I think in many ways the uniformed military may help save us from the president. I don't think you're paying too much attention to that, Mark. But all of this is all based on lies and hoaxes.
Love that. It's all based on lies and hoaxes. Just like you said, everything that's said is basically a confession, but it's circular reasoning. A whole lot of what is said, you make a proposition and then you use that as the justification for that proposition. That's therefore it's proven because I just said it's true, and therefore that's the reason. It's.
Can we have a new segment? Can I propose a segment?
What would that be?
It's called The Absence of Truth, and Steve and I will just say whatever the hell we want to.
Make stuff up as we
make
go.
Stuff up. Apparently, you can do that. Apparently, that's cool, right?
There's
What's that guy's
no
name
repercussions. Bill Frady?
Oh, Phil Brady. Phil Brady.
Phil Brady.
I will come on
He
your
said
show
it. I can quote him.
Whenever. I will come to the studio, or if you're afraid of me, I'll call in. Anytime. I'm not kidding.
So on that note, that's about all I got for the day.
Now I'm fired up. I got a Christmas party to go to. It's this ridiculous
Merry Christmas!
Turtleneck on. Be sweating and angry when I show up.
We'll have to end with the hot topics rather than this next time around.
Yeah, exactly.
Walking out of here.
No, that was good. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, people, you bring up an important point, which is the same way we accuse people on the right of living in echo chambers, so do we. I've lived in an echo chamber for too long. That's why I got caught off guard twice by President Trump winning an election in 2016 and last year. It caught me off guard twice because I lived in an echo chamber. It's impossible. There's no way. It's not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. That's because I was tuning out things I didn't want to hear, things I didn't agree with, and that's dangerous. And, Steve, honestly, I commend you for listening to this stuff and bringing it up. Seriously, that it's important and people need to hear it.
It's also interesting in classifying the false things that they do, the logical fallacies, things like that. You start looking inward as well.
Yeah.
And the name calling, the thing, ad hominem attacks, the generalizations. Not all Republicans are bad. In fact, many Republicans are good. They just maybe a little misdirected right now. The leaders of the Republican Party
from that statement.
The leaders of the Republican Party right now, well, that's a whole different subject. But you start looking at the statements that we make, and you have to really look at them critically. Yeah. And again, that's kind of why I came up with the name for this podcast as The Whole Truth. Try to capture all of it. We ain't perfect. They ain't perfect, but the choice is pretty clear in my head right now.
And gosh, I'm going to sound so hallmarky, but it is Christmas. This is why preserving our democracy is so important. It's not just because we want our way or because we feel like our way is the best. We may feel that way deep down, but it's because genuinely we have to all have the opportunity to express our beliefs and our feelings and feel like our voice will be equally heard. And we've all gathered into two different camps because human beings are so tribal, and we have divided ourselves in such a way that we refuse to even listen to somebody from the other side because we have turned them into the enemy. And that's why people support things like crackdowns on everyday people who are just trying to get by because they're the enemy. And looking at each other that way is extremely dangerous. And, there was a point in time when that happened in about the mid-19th century.
1938,
yep. I'm talking about the American Civil War.
Oh, that too? 33, 1886.
Yeah,
Let's see. It happens.
History.
Repeats?
There's
oh, my gosh.
many examples.
Yes.
But in the United States,
Human nature.
That's the great example. It's because, President Lincoln said a house divided against itself cannot stand. We're pretty divided right now. And I never like to ring the alarm bells of Civil War and all that. I think that's dangerous rhetoric, and it's not helpful. But we do have to recognize the conditions, and the conditions are very dangerous right now. And so I'm glad that you brought this up to talk about it. You're a better man than me, Steve, because I'm not listening to that crap ever. But I will go on your show, Bill Frady. Sorry.
So I think it'll probably be Merry Christmas by the time y'all see this.
Yes.
So love to have a whole lot of jingle bells ringing and things like that. It's tough to change gears from here, but post-production we'll have to do that.
We'll add it in.
All right. Enjoy your Christmas party. I see you're dressed for it.
Yes, I look ridiculous. But yeah, here we go. But, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, however you celebrate, whatever makes you happy. I hope you have a wonderful day and holiday season. See you next time.
Thanks. Cheers.